Just under 24 hours since the full-time whistle went at St. James's Park. I'm not going to lie, I'm still buzzing off the back of it, to be honest. We just struggled to get to sleep last night after we won and whatever. On cloud nine, I'm still feeling really positive about last night's game. Anyway, this is the video where we take a look and see what the Hammers Chat subscribers are saying. So if you're watching live, get your comments into the live chat. And if you're watching this one a little bit later on Tuesday into Wednesday, please get your comments in the section below and let's see what you're saying in regards to that much needed win for West Ham United, but also a much needed win for Lopetegui as well. Andy's kicking it off and he said, I'd forgotten what it was like to watch us play and actually enjoy the game. Well done to the lads in Lopetegui. Now, just please keep it up. Lauren saying, watching the game yesterday, I think the midfield should be Somerville, Paqueta, Kudus, Solar and Bowen. Kudus is a bigger threat and goal scorer than Soucek. Please not put Kudus back on left. I'm not sure how I feel about that one, to be honest with you, Lawrence. I understand it. Like, Kudus is a sensational footballer and he's one of our best players. So he should, in theory, be in the starting 11. But the best players don't always make the best team. And I certainly wouldn't take Soucek out and put Kudus in because, well, then you're going to be asking Paqueta or Solar to be sort of the anchor in midfield. I'm as I say, I'm not for it. I'm against that, actually. I disagree with you on that one, Lawrence. What he does with Kudus, by the way, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll get more evidence within the next fixture before Kudus returns. Michael said, as far as Lopetegui is concerned, even a blind squirrel finds a nut occasionally. Randy says, glad we got the win and the midfield combination could be the one, but we've not tried Kudus, Alvarez and Paqueta all together. But hope this win is not a false dawn. Paul would like to see Edson Alvarez defense midfield with Paqueta and Solar next to him, Somerville on the left, Bowen on the right, and maybe try Kudus as a striker. Kudus has to start. It shouldn't be on the left. Unless we move Jared up top, he can't play on the right either. It's the conundrum he's got, isn't it? It's a good problem to have as well, isn't it? When you got too many good players, so what do you do? But if Kudus was available for the next game, I wouldn't change it. I think they don't change a winning team's a myth. However, I would have stuck with the same 11 and make Kudus work for the shirt to get back into there. Collingwood said he was concerned when he saw the midfield line up, as I didn't think Paqueta and Solar would show up. Hopefully they can maintain it and it's not a flash in the pan. Paul saying, does Edson Alvarez come back into the team on Saturday? If Kudus was available, would you play him? Oh, sorry, Paul, I've answered that one. No to both. I think some people would put Kudus in or Alvarez in, or, you know, earlier on someone just commented saying Alvarez, Paqueta and Kudus. So I think you'll get a mixed bag of answers to that question, but not for me personally. I would stick with what we've got. Cameron says, still really delighted with the performance, more so than the result. And I think that's the important thing here. And William saying, brilliant to see a really good game last night, but let's see what happens against Arsenal. And Curvinord said, what a difference playing as a team makes. Michael says, more balanced last night, sensible fullback starting positions, didn't overcomplicate the two passers in midfield. We didn't sit back and try and defend the lead, inviting pressure. Green shoots at last. I have to agree with that one. I think, you know, it was the second half in particular. I thought we were really good and really comfortable. And I'm waiting to get a little bit negative for the next minute. But it's a sense of reality. It's my honest opinion. And that was, we were lucky in the first half. There's a couple of big opportunities for Newcastle. That one in particular was through Tadebo's error, big save from Fabianski. So it could have very much been a different game. But like I said, we got a little bit lucky, but you need that in the Premier League. I rarely watch a team play and there's an element of luck when they go on to win that game. You need it sometimes. You need the rub of the green. And we got it yesterday, but we capitalised on it. And when those big chances occurred, we were already 1-0 up anyway, so it's not like we would have gone behind. I know Isak has a goal disallowed at 0-0. That's good defending as far as I'm concerned. Kilman saw where Tadebo and Wan-Bissaka was, seen where Isak was going and stepped up and said, on you go, you can go offside. I just think it was top defending by Kilman, to be honest with you. No luck involved in that element. And this is the advantage of VAR, because in years gone by, you might have done that. He goes on and scores and the linesman doesn't flag. The linesman makes a human error, but that goal stands. But because of VAR, you know, And I think Aston Villa are really good at this, where when they play a high line, their defence can play in line with each other, and they're very organised, and their defence just trusts the fact that VAR's there. So if a striker's offside, don't worry about it. It's going to get picked up, and the free kick will be given. Good defending, as far as I'm concerned. Hammer Boy said, great comments by McCoy on Bowen. If you haven't seen them, I have not. I've seen Bowen's comments, and I've seen TalkSport suggesting Jared Bowen should leave West Ham because he's too good for us. But I've not seen what McCoy said, so feel free to chuck it into the live chat. Navida said we've got Lopetegui, super Lopetegui. It's I'm gonna wait and see. Listen, this is about the game. I thought he was fantastic yesterday, Lopetegui. The starting 11 was right, the tactics were right, the substitutions were right. He did everything bang on, and the context around the game, which was he was under pressure for his job, makes it even more difficult. Looked like he'd been sleeping on a park bench for a couple of weeks before. Looked rough, but that was a big performance. And I agree with what Andy said earlier on. I enjoyed watching that game, especially the second half. I thought we were knocking about nicely. Whenever Newcastle were picking up a bit of momentum, I thought we took the sting out of the game really well by just deciding to keep possession for a handful of minutes. And every player was involved as well. We could keep it in the middle of the pitch, on the left, and the right. It didn't really matter where or whom was involved. They were comfortable knocking the ball about at St. James's Park. And that's what I was really pleased with. Has he came up with a solution? Don't know. It's going to take more than one game, isn't it? I'm really pleased with what I've seen. I think we've got something, but it's the first time I feel like we've got something to build on going forward. Even in other games like against Man United when we won, we come away thinking, right, it still needs tweak. That's still not the answer. Last night, I don't know if that, you might not consider that to be his best 11, but even if you were to make changes, I think you'd make 1, 2 at the most, maybe, to what you want to see. I think he's starting to form the best 11 here. He's got something to build on. It's a pity for him the next game's at home to Arsenal. It's a big game, a tough game. But I think, this is just me, I think he's turned that Arsenal game into a bit of a free hit, personally. I think had he, we got beat yesterday, there would have been pressure on him to avoid defeat against Arsenal. But because of that win, I think it just eases the pressure a little bit. And as long as we don't get a spanking, and if we play similar to that but end up losing, I think he'll get away with that one. I don't think he'll receive too much criticism. And then we hit a reasonable set of fixtures. Leicester, Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton on Boxing Day. So there's Liverpool in there as well, but we've got a decent run of fixtures coming up where he could pick up some good points. And we play like that, I think we will be picking up plenty of points, plural, as well. Saturday's a tough one. Arsenal and Saturday is a hard game to follow up with. Cameron saying, if a team came with a £40 million bid for Alvarez, and we used it to get 2 more robust and less irrational midfielders, start the midfield and rebuild. Yeah, I mean, I was okay selling Alvarez in the summer when he was heavily linked to Man United, which for a greater fee than that, admittedly, it was the 60 million. I don't mind selling players. I think the only player at West Ham I would not sell, to keep repeating myself for the last year, is Jared Bowen. He's the only one I consider untouchable. The rest of them have all got a price, as far as I'm concerned, that if a bid came in and said, yeah, right, as long as it's more than above market value, I'm happy to see them go. It's just a case of, can we then replace that player? I've still got concerns over that. Beating Newcastle doesn't mean I've now got confidence in us going and spending the money. That's not changed anything. But in terms of selling the players, yeah, there's a big difference between wanting to sell a player and being willing to sell a player. And I'm on the latter when it comes to every player. Bar Jared Bowen, hands off him. He's priceless. Hannah Boy said, football these days is about scoring. Most teams don't want to sit back anymore. We should be playing on the front foot. I'd rather win 3-2 every game than hold on to a 1-0. I think everybody would prefer that. Major says, if we were on the same points and position, but had played like that all last season, the fans would have been behind Lopetegui more than we would have been. I agree. I was saying it to someone during the week in the comment section. The results on paper, and this is why when I spoke to Johnny. For those that see it, the Newcastle fan, I do my opposition previews. Speak to a fan of the opposition, just to get their feel on their club and what they think of our club and how they see the game going. And I like it. I think it's good to get a neutral's perspective. You don't have to agree with them because Johnny doesn't watch West Ham. Why would he? We've played 11 games in the Premier League prior. He's probably seen 3 of our games, maybe at most. Why would he watch more than he's a Newcastle fan? Why would he watch all 11 West Ham? He's watched the highlights, perhaps, but that shows you that the highlights. We probably look all right on Match of the Day some games. So his interpretation was, well, it's looking all right as a neutral. You're not that far off the top 6. And you can go back and watch it. He was saying this. You're not that far away from the European spots. So I don't see what the issue is too much, but I don't watch West Ham. And in terms of the results, Nottingham Forest aside, it's not that bad. Winning away to Crystal Palace, drawing against Fulham, drawing at home to Everton was probably the one that one and the Forest one are the two that you look at and think, oh, I don't like that one. But, we beat Man U, beat Crystal Palace. There's some decent results in there. It's the performances, though. The results don't tell the story. It's the performances that do. And I agree with what Major said there. That was my frustration because it didn't seem to be much of a game plan. Whereas yesterday, you can look at that and think, do you know what? That's something. There's a sense of identity within what we did last night. If we can do that going forward, that would be good. Whether we will or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I enjoyed it. Dean says midfield felt a million times better, and maybe that's how we should move forward. But the overall desire and fight was back. We wanted it more than them yesterday, and that's what's me. Yeah, I seen Frankie's fan camera speaking about what Bowen said after the game, so I went and had a little listen, and Bowen was very much saying that this is what it takes to play for West Ham. Perhaps we haven't done that this season. And Bowen's saying the same things that Declan Rice and Mark Noble used to say. As I said, these are the standards of this football club, and if you don't reach some, do one. He didn't word it like that, but you get the sense that's what he said. I liked it. Paul says, I like the midfield, but Soucek is required to get forward, then drop it into the holding role when we lose the ball. It can work, but the flip of the midfield triangle and transition could get tricky. I agree with that one. Soucek does partner up with Antonio for goal kicks in particular. Hardy said, didn't really notice much change with tactics. Maybe playing out from the back too much. It looked like the effort levels went up. I think there was some alterations. I don't feel like the fullbacks were getting forward as much. They still got forward, but I don't think it was willy-nilly. There was no central midfielder dropping into the back 3 in or out of possession, which is what we've seen quite a lot so far this season. I think there was tweaks. He didn't rip it up and start again. I think he'd adapted what he'd already got, made it a bit more simplistic, and then the midfield was just capable of playing the way he wants to play compared to what we've seen so far this midfield, in my opinion anyway, Harry. Hammond Boy said the game is pretty damn good, but we've had those before. Now we need to carry this forward. This becomes irrelevant if we go back to what we saw prior to Newcastle and an ugly run of bad results. Opinion said, I'm delighted with the result and the second half performance. However, Newcastle couldn't finish their dinner. Could have been different. Thankfully, it wasn't, and there are embers of a style of play. Paul says, hot take, Mavropanos helped with keeping the ball moving better than Tadibos against Newcastle. Mavropanos was finding midfielders well. Steve said, I felt some have been too quick to judge Solar prior to last night's game. Takes time to adjust to the Premier League. Really excited to see what he could do. I was a bit... The thing is, though, I think it's judging Solar. I think... I can only speak for myself. It's more judging the transfer. I'll try not to say this phrase again, but when we signed him, I didn't know him, so I went and listened to people that did know him. And as I kept saying, not one person said he'd make a good left winger, but we played him out there on occasion. He'd come off the bench and go out there. And they all said, oh, he's a really good central midfielder. He can play as number 10, but we hadn't really seen him play there up until now. My criticisms was more at how we utilised Carlos Soler rather than Carlos Soler, if that makes sense. And it felt a bit like, well, we're not going to use him for what we believe we bought him for. There's no point having him here. Send him back and get an actual left winger. That's where you're going to persist playing him. Arsenal's a chance to show we won't just roll over. even if we lose, then as you say, we really try, build, push our style and improve game by game. Hammer Motor says, credit where it's due. Well done, Lopetegui. But I have to say, the poor man looks like he hasn't slept in a week. I don't really blame him, to be fair. It's a difficult environment, isn't it? William says, hopefully this is a turning point for our season. I think we've approached turn the corner. It takes more than one game, but certainly I think we've approached it. Colin says he enjoyed last night's game. We worked well as a team, liked formation. My jury's still out over Lopetegui. Still need to see more of this in the next 8 games. Do I feel Lopetegui's the right coach? Still, no. I think that's a fair comment, Colin. I know, I understand if someone's going to say, hang on a minute, cheer up. I think that's a very fair and balanced comment. Usual suspects saying Newcastle channel saying West Ham played well and majority want. Eddie, how gone? James from E20 TV says, thank you for your comment on E20. Great win and positive result. Antonio Alves makes me want to go to the gym. Good YouTube channel. Check it out. Just tuned in last night when I was doing a little bit of work. I just popped over to listen to them and see what they were saying about the game. And yeah, Cameron did here he is, this one. This Cameron did a fan cam earlier on. I can't remember the phrase Cameron used, but it tickled me. He said that when he seen Antonio, he felt like a pathetic human being and that it was a waste of potential when he had his shirt ripped, something like that. Anyway, it tickled me. Go out, go have a little read. Bezel says, all I have to say is I'm really proud of the lads and extremely happy Hammer today. Come on, you Irons. Randy says, not bad. Enjoyed the win, just like you. Just hope it's a new revert to type moment. I just hope we give it a go against Arsenal. Dan says, I hope we play like that against Arsenal as well. Liam says, it feels like we have a new manager now. Just from this game, we can see how we could go forward more positively. Kevin Ord said, 2 clean sheets on the spin. Arsenal game doesn't look that scary now. Navida said Arsenal have a tough travel to Sporting Lisbon tonight. Hope we take the chance and win at the weekend, and then we close the gap for top 6. Michael says Fabianski looked like a man possessed last night. Never seen him control distribution so well or get off his line so quickly. He had a point to prove. Flynn says, I think that Alvarez needs a serious talking to if he wants back into the 11 because his discipline is just not as... Honestly, I certainly wouldn't be putting him in for the Arsenal game. I really wouldn't. He's let us down on 2 occasions now. Like I said, they're not in Forest one. We were already losing. We didn't lose the game because of Edson Alvarez. But what he did was stupid, and he'd done it a few weeks prior. And he prevented us the opportunity to get back into the game. I'm not saying Lopetegui would have changed at halftime. We go on and win that game 2-1. But he never had a chance. We didn't have a chance to try and get back into it after halftime because we were down to 10 men. And he's let his team down, his coach down. He's let everybody down twice already this season. We've barely played. It's only coming up to a third of the season. He's already been sent off twice. So I'd have him on the bench. He was on the bench for the Ipswich game, which was when he returned after his suspension from getting sent off against Liverpool. And we did all right. He came on and looked okay, but he almost had a bit of a punishment sitting that one out. So yeah, I'd leave him on the bench for the Arsenal game. And do you know something? I think, barring a disaster against Arsenal, I think I'd leave him on the bench for the Leicester game as well. Because I think the Arsenal one's a tough one to really... This new midfield, whether it works or not long term, it's still new. It's the first time they've played together, those 3, in like that. And they've done really well. But I think if it struggles against Arsenal, I don't think you can throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. I think you've got to give it at least another game against a Leicester opposition, which is what Leicester will be. Forget their new manager. Leicester have got, in my opinion, Leicester have got the worst squad in the Premier League. I've watched them a few times this season. They stink. Now, a part of that is down to Steve Cooper's tactics, but a large part of it is just down to the players just not being good enough for the Premier League. So that's what I would do. Leave Alvarez on the bench. I wouldn't bring him in. Disaster aside, I wouldn't bring him in for the Leicester one either. I don't trust him. How can you trust him? I don't think you can. Right at this point, just want to point in direction of what will we promote? The patron or the Christmas jumpers? I only want to do one. We'll do the Christmas jumpers. I'm not wearing one. I'm wearing the hooded one because it's comfy. So is a Christmas jumper, but it's over there. Christmas jumpers. We've got 34 left. I've checked all the stock. We've got 34 left. We've only got one of the last year's design. One jumper. It's size 3XL. So whoever gets that, that's it gone. But the other designers, 33 left. If you buy a Christmas jumper today or tomorrow, we're going to send you a free packet of beer mats as well in with your order. There's no codes. You don't need to add it to your basket. Just buy the Christmas jumper and we'll do this part for you. It's a bribe because I've got 34 Christmas jumpers in a box that's been sat out in the lobby for 12 months now. Mrs. Gio's not happy. I've been getting whinged at for the last 12 months. I need them gone. So there you go. I'm trying to bribe people. These cost $7.50, by the way. So we're giving them for free for anyone that buys a Christmas jumper. hammerschatstore.com. And if you don't want one, go have a look. There's some nice gifts ahead of Christmas. An Andy Irving mug. A CUNT mug. There's no C. Use your imagination. There's handles there for the C. Jimmy Walker's autobiography. It's a book. Jimmy Walker's got a book out. We're meeting up with Jimmy Walker very soon to get books signed by him, and you can buy a signed version of Jimmy Walker's book if you want. Plenty of stuff. hammerschatstore.com. Wales says same 11 for Arsenal unless Tadibo is injured. Can't fault the players involved. Matt said I won't get my hopes up until we're back in the top 10 and on back-to-back wins. I think European qualification can still be a target. It is. It can be, but so can. Can we qualify for European football? Yes. Can we get dragged into a relegation battle? Yes. Both things are on the table at this point. Chrissy says, glad to see everyone positive. Last 6 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. All the sacking manager was nonsense. The midfield was always the problem. I agree with the latter part. But he was the one picking the midfield. I think there's a change in there, right? It's in sync with each other. I think to say that the midfield was the problem, but say you can't criticize. Well, you're not saying you can't criticize, but to suggest the criticism was harsh. But the manager was the one picking the midfield that was the problem for 13 games. I think both can be true. Both can be true. Matt saying, did anyone see that Adrian Geezer on TalkSport? No, don't bother with TalkSport. I'm carrying on. Flynn saying, where does Kudus come into this? I think he stays on. Yeah, I'd have him on the bench. I know he's not back for Arsenal, but in theory, I'd put him in there. Paul saying, can he start at 9? Yes, he can. I've seen him do it for Ajax plenty of time. I'm convinced I've seen him do it for Ghana at the World Cup as well. William says, top the back 4 were outstanding last night. Gio starting to click. I wasn't playing, but I appreciate you acknowledging my contribution at left back. Steve says, Tomas Soucek interview after the game. What a great bloke he is. He does get what it means to pull on that shirt. Made a point of mentioning travelling fans who were great, by the way. Tinkt says, want to see Alvarez and Paqueta with Kudus in front of them. Will saying 4 points off 6, a decent run of games. Where do you think we'll be coming in the year? It's impossible to say. Well, someone's going to get it right. It's predictions, isn't it? I don't know. 10th, maybe. I don't know. I think we'll win some, draw some, lose some. I don't think we're going to blow anyone out the water or anything like that. It's hard. There's one game, and do you know something? I like it. I like this injection of positivity and enthusiasm. People are looking forward to the Arsenal game now. I'm not dreading it. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it per se, but I am looking forward to the Leicester one and the Wolves one and the Bournemouth one. That part of the run. I rate Arsenal quite highly, I think. So I think it'll still be tough. One really good game, but that's all it is as far as I'm concerned. It's going to take more than that to convince me that he's now got a winning formula or anything. However, it was a fantastic bloody game. Well, saying from here on out, providing all are fit and not banned, play Alvarez in defense midfield with Paqueta and Kudus. Brian saying he's trying to send us fan cams. I will check. I know your email address, Brian. I will have a look. I certainly haven't got one. I would have put it up. I've done them all. Everyone that sent me a fan cam today, it's up on this channel or the other channel, the forum channel. Cameron saying I'm having a birthday meal on Saturday before the game. What cuisine should I go for? Chinese, Indian, Mexican, Italian? If it was a sit-in, probably an Indian. I think, especially at this time of year, it's cold. I prefer Chinese takeaways, but Indian. If you go to a restaurant, I've yet to find this. I've never found a good sit-in Chinese. There's some average ones, there's one in Upminster. Tom used to live in Upminster, and we used to go there after home games quite a lot. It was a buffet one, but it wasn't one that you go up and take out the trays. You just tell them what you want and they bring it out, but then it says all you can eat. But then after your second duck, they don't bring out any more duck. They keep saying there's no more duck. I can't remember what it was called now in Upminster. I could find it. I know where it is, but bloody nice Chinese that was. But I've never found a good sit-in Chinese. Indian. People are saying pie mash. Listen, for context, Cameron's from Glasgow. I'm not sure there is any pie mash shops in Glasgow. There might be. Colin says, I feel we need to play the same team against Arsenal rather than what he has been doing, chopping and changing, and the formation. We need to get these players working together. I think he's done a bit of both. I think the back four is a back four now. I think that's feels like he's got his back four. Fabianski's in goal. Bowen's in his position. Antonio's a striker. Somerville, whilst Caduceus out anyways on the left. It was just the midfield, really. I think the defence and the attack was sort of settled. It was just what we're going to do in the middle of the park. And I think that's still going to be a question because Alvarez is back. Rodriguez is still there. I'd be surprised if he changes it. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't struggle against Arsenal personally. I think Newcastle at times did okay. They created opportunities and they had plenty of the ball as well. They were just wasteful, I think. I'm not sure Arsenal will be as wasteful. Jan said, I did say last night in your pre-match chat, I wasn't writing the game off as Premier League results were bonkers. Can confirm. Jan did say that. I had a hunch. Call it a women's. Hey, there you go. We'll give you that one. What's your hunch for the Arsenal game? Hoping that you're feeling a little win. DL's asking if we're restocking the quarter zip. Yeah, we will, but it won't be till New Year money. Tom saying thought there was a real togetherness last night. Let's hope we can kick on now. And now everybody's suggesting that Cameron has haggis and liquor or deep fried pie mash. Sorry, Cameron, I've set you up for that one. To be fair, people mock a deep fried Mars bar. Delicious. It is absolutely delicious. If you've not tried it, try it. Probably once. Not good for you. But it's one of those things I think you got to try once in your life. It sounds minging. Trust me, I know. When I first went to have one, I was unconvinced I was going to like it. 10 out of 10. When I used to live in Scotland, if people from England came to visit me, like Bears and that, and I would take them for a fried Mars bar, they were converted. A bit of Blue Lagoon. We like to Cameron. We like the Blue Lagoon pub. They've got they do a nice fried Mars bar. Matt said, I have to say, Tomas Soucek made me eat my words last night. Didn't want him to start, but done his job. Got to give him praise. Soma said, I like that Lopetegui utilising his squad. For example, bringing on Soufal made sense. He will be sharper if Wan-Bissaka gets injured. I've always said, I'll finish up with this one maybe. I think I've refused to give Lopetegui credit for doing subs when we're getting beat. Right? I think we're 1-0 down. He brings on 3 subs, and early in his tenure, there was a lot of credit. So, he's making subs. This is good. And I think it was just desperation because perhaps last season we felt that the subs weren't being utilised enough or they weren't being made early on. I understand it, but I would refuse to give him credit for fixing what he got wrong. It's easy to do subs when you're losing and things are going badly and you're getting battered. Right, it's not like the Mars bar. It's easy. It's an easy situation. In fact, you'd be stupid to not do subs. I think it's difficult to do subs when the game's in the balance or you're leading narrowly. I think that's when it becomes hard to make subs, and that's where I will give managers and head coaches and interim managers and caretaker, whatever the terminology is, that's when I'll give them credit. When you make subs that influence the game, and it was a risky thing to do, and I was impressed yesterday. I've mentioned it a few times. I genuinely feel at halftime we came out a different team. We needed that halftime whistle. We were under the cosh. That 5-10 minutes before the end of the first half, I was getting nervous. I thought we were struggling. We came out the second half and we looked comfortable and we looked confident. In the end, we got our second goal 10 minutes later. But his subs, it was a difficult situation to do the subs because Eddie Howe was throwing subs on, so he was constantly making changes. And at 2-0, it would have been easy. We scored our second goal in the 55th minute. It would have been easy to make your subs too early in the hour mark. Go, right, Rodriguez is going on. We're going to start parking the bus and seeing this game out. That would have been the easier thing to do, but he didn't. And what he did took a lot of courage, especially given the situation he was under with his job security on the line. He stuck at it. The subs were right. And we were unlucky not to go on and get a third in the end, truth be told. I thought we were trying to get a third goal. I was very impressed by the attitude when we were 2-0 up, and I was very impressed by his subs yesterday. I think his subs yesterday are far more impressive to me compared to games when, I don't know, we're 1-0 down at half-time and his tactics are crap, and then he does 3 subs. That doesn't impress me. Last night, big, huge well done to him, because every sub he did was correct. One was forced with Mavropanos, of course, but Soucek coming on. I thought Ings had some really nice touches when he came on. Rodriguez and Irving came on just to help see the game out as well. I was impressed by that one. Right then, a few more comments, then we'll wrap this one up. Colin's hopeful that we're going to win 2-1 on Saturday against Arsenal. West Ham said we looked neutered all season, but that game was a complete 180. Chrissy says we're going to beat Arsenal 2-1 as well. 123 says there's a lot to take away from that win regarding Lopetegui. The players could have easily have down tools and got him the sack, but they fought for 3 points when his head was on the chopping block. Agree. I don't like that lost the dressing room phrase. I don't like it. Myth most of the time. Andrew said players may hang about if we turn our season round and get one of those European places. Still a long way to go. Let's see what happens. Simon said he was knocking the ball about a lot quicker. We were, and wasn't going backwards and sideways. I don't mind it too much. Time and a place, and times we were going sideways and backwards last night. I think it was the right thing to do, take the sting out of the game a little bit. Daz saying, do you think we'll beat Arsenal? I don't, Daz, but it's not. Like I said, I'm just not getting carried away. But maybe not in the last week or so, but at the earlier stages of the season, I didn't get carried away too much when we won or lost. I felt like I was pretty calm up until the Nottingham Forest game was a game that really, really did it for me. John said, I reckon a lot of matches this season are going to be difficult to predict, and not just our games. The season already has that feel to it. I think not quite 15, 16, but it's got a little bit of that vibe that there's going to be a couple of spaces opening up, doesn't it? In terms of predictions, I completely agree. Hey, that's why you should be forgiven if you predicted Man City to beat Tottenham 4-0. I would forgive anybody for making that prediction. Weird Premier League season. However, at least those people followed it up by predicting Ipswich Man U to be 1-1, right? Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching this later on Tuesday night, Wednesday, please leave your comments on the match in the comment section below. Interested to see what you're all saying. And also around the midfield. Is this the midfield? Is it like a one-off? Should we keep it against Arsenal? What about Alvarez? What about Kudus? For me personally, bench them both when they come back. I liked last night quite a lot, actually. I'm intrigued to see how we can evolve from this, because it's going to take some evolving. It wasn't perfect, but it was a huge step in the right direction. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. It helps out the channel, helps out the video. Please subscribe if you're new to the Hammers Chat YouTube channel as well. I'll be back tomorrow with my podcast with Frankie, where we'll be having a little catch up and a little discussion. Check out the fan cams, Christmas jumper, hammerschatstore.com. Only 34 left. And if you order one tonight or tomorrow, you get a free pack of beer mats. Catch you in a bit.